Hello everybody, this is my first YouTube video stroke tutorial, so forgive me if it's not structured in a way that you're used to. Basically I thought I should put this up because it took me days to find a solution that worked. There's a lot of information on the internet about using your PC with the RemotePlay application and Bluestacks to get it working. But all that did was get me to the point where the touchscreen was working. I couldn't get a wired controller to work on my computer. And this video would demo my PC connected with a PS4 controller working via RemotePlay. So, let's get started. This is basically all I'm using. A Surface Pro 3 laptop. You can use any desktop of your choice or laptop of your choice. Next, what you need is a PS4 controller and a mini or micro USB cable, whichever it is that came with the PS4 controller. Later, I will show you, once you've plugged this into your machine, how it works. These are the applications and hardware I'm using to get things working on my system. Basically, I'm using a Surface Pro 3 laptop, but in your case, it can be any computer or desktop running Windows 8.1 in my case. I had to install 3 applications, well, yeah, technically 2 applications. An Xbox 360 accessory application. I'm not sure if it's required, but that's what I did. A DSDCS input mapper that basically would translate the PS4 controls into anything that you want. In my case, I'll show you how to set that up. And thirdly, I connected the PS4 controller to my machine. In the case of Bluestacks, I was using this version. I've actually had to uninstall it. I'm going to reinstall it. Hopefully it's the same version when I reinstall it. I got the Easy2 version 3.1 online as well, and use that to root the Bluestacks. And the reason for that is I needed to be able to use this application here for mapping the controller keys onto the touchscreen, and you will see that in play shortly. Okay then, let's get started. So first of all, you need to make sure you uninstall Bluestacks. Now I've already done that, but I believe there is always a leftover folder on the C drive within program data. So if you look here in program data, you notice there's still a folder starting with the word Bluestacks. You need to delete that. Okay, now that that is gone, you then need to install Bluestack. So first thing I will do is go to the Bluestacks website. Go to the download section. So as you can see, it's downloading. Once it's done downloading, you just run it. As you can see from the screen, there's an instruction there. You run it, accept anything they ask you to accept, and you're going to get the screen here. Continue. I leave it in the default location, which is program data, and then leave these two connected for internet connectivity, and let it do its thing. So let's just let it install for a second. I will skip through. Okay, I was thinking of skipping through to the end of the installation, but let me just let it play out. It shouldn't take too long. I'm sure you can fast forward as well if you don't want to see all of this, because it'll be the same thing on your screen. I appreciate some people like to see the screens to basically tie up with what they're doing on your machine, so I'll leave this playing or recording. Yep, once the first stage of the installation is done, Bluestacks opens up on the full screen. In my case, I'm actually recording just a portion of my screen, so you won't be able to see the taskbar or anything on the screen, but Bluestack has opened up full screen. Let me see if I can put it in a restored state. Yeah, so this is what you have on the screen, and it's downloading game data, etc. So we'll let it do that. Okay, it's initializing. Excellent. So as you can see, it's installed successfully, and the fact that you can see these rows of applications and links basically shows that the internet is working via your Bluestack. So what I would need you to do now is, oh sorry, let's just disagree with that, or agree with it in your case. What I will need for you to do now is close Bluestacks, like that, and also go to the taskbar and close it from there. So if you look at here, there is Bluestack, and you want to be able to quit it as well. Okay, perfect. Next, we want to run. I'll just open up this again so you can follow through with what I'm doing. Next, what we want to do is root the Bluestacks using this tool here, Bluestack Easy version 3.1 or 3.2, depending on the latest version. I think that should be 3.2. Okay, so if let's go down to the link here. There we go. So I actually got this tool from this video here when he showed me how to root Bluestack. So I would just go here and download the tool. So you can download it from there, but I have already downloaded it, and it is located downloads, there we go. It is located here, 3.2. Okay, now all you have to do then is run it. And by the way, this is actually the process of doing what I'm about to do has already been explained in the video where I got the link for this tool set. He actually shows you into more detail on how you can do different things with the tool, but this is specifically just how to root, or unroot, is it root? Yeah, so how to root your Bluestack. So in my case, what he recommended was you click on this tab here and you can notice that the memory is currently 1856, but he recommends we put it at 2048, so 2 gig of memory, and hit the change button. The next thing is you go to the root EZ tab, auto detect your location for where the root FS file is, select the Bluestacks 9, routing, and he chose method 3. Now I don't know the reason for this, but he chose method 3 and on squash system. This worked for me, so that's what I would suggest you do as well, and see if it works, and hopefully if it does, there would be no problem. So I'm going to hit the proceed button, and then we will see what happens next. So here we go. So it's doing its it's doing its stuff in the background. You know, he's a whiz for pulling this together, and I think I'm sure there's a lot of scripts and everything running in the background. But the great news is, for people like us, it works and it's rooted. So let it do what it needs to do, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, seems to be doing something. Let's just wait 2 seconds. Have a look there. It says loading virtual environment, so we'll just wait for it to do that. Okay, I guess it's loaded the virtual environment successfully. Now it's executing the routing scripts. So hopefully after that, it should start up Bluestacks with evidence that it's rooted. But I will show you how you can check that is rooted as well. That's also available in the video, which link is available in the description of my video explaining how to root Bluestacks. And just so you're aware, the version of Bluestacks that has been installed, I believe, is this version here. So if there are newer versions, I'm not sure, or earlier versions, I'm not sure if it will work, but you can try it just in case. So it's executing the scripts, as you can see there. It's closing console. Okay, it appears to be done. It says finishing. Oh, there we go. It's starting Bluestacks, which basically means that everything was successful. So looking here, all process complete. I'm going to close this application and let Bluestacks load up. Okay. It's loading up now. There we go. I will choose, in your case you can choose whichever you want, but I prefer you choose this app launcher and set it as always, because it has more of a default Android look to it. Click the OK button, and to basically confirm that your Bluestacks is rooted, go to the all applications, and within there will be a root checker, I believe. There we go. If you open up that application, you have a check now button. You click that, and it does its stuff in the background. But the wonderful thing is, it should come back, and you should be able to see on the screen. Well, if you give it a second or two, you should be able to see on the screen that your Bluestacks is now rooted. Okay, so just give me 2 seconds and let's check. Oh, it's taking its own time. There we go. It pops up and I say grant. It has been granted. Okay. And it's checking root access again. And as you can clearly see on the screen, your Bluestacks is rooted. So I'm going to pause the video here for now, and then I will take you through the next set of steps. Okay, your controller, actually sorry, your Bluestacks is now rooted, and the next step is we're going to prepare the computer for you to be able to plug in your PS4 controller and actually be able to use it as a device for playing games on your computer, and in this case playing games within Bluestacks. So if you give me a second, I will prep. If you give me a second, I will show you how to do that. So let's just minimize this. Actually, we can close this for now. And what we need to do this is, first of all, install an application called Xbox 360 Accessories. Or I'm not sure if it's required, but that is what I did. And to install that, you need to go to this link. Okay. Okay, it's connecting. Okay. And one of the things here I was told, I think when I got this app, is if you're running Windows 8, you should choose a Windows 7 version, because I think that's all they have on there. And yes, I chose the Windows 7 64-bit version, and I'm going to install that version. So I'm going to download it and then install it. There we go. Accept. Next. And finish. Okay, now once you've done that, the next step is to also download something called DSDCS input mapper. Now some people use Xpadder and some people will use other applications, but I use this one because I went to the official Xpadder website and I was being asked to pay for the input mapper. So I've got this DSDCS input mapper, which is a free application and seems to have a better UI than Xpadder. So if you go down into the links, you will see you can download it from here. So we'll just go to the website. And this is the latest version, and you can hit the download button. In my case, I've already downloaded it, so it is here, and I will run that. Okay, it goes into a default location, you agree to the licensing, and you install. It's a very quick app, and also I really love the UI. Given all the other input mapping tools I've seen on the internet, I think this is one of the best ones on the internet at the moment. Okay, so now that that is installed, we basically covered installing this application, installing that application. We've rooted our Bluestack, and what I would also suggest is you now can connect your PS4 controller to your PC, but before you do that, I would suggest first of all you run the input mapper application. So let me just do that. Okay, right. And this is basically what it looks like, and as you can see, it says no compatible controllers detected because I haven't plugged in a controller as of yet. So I am now going to plug in a controller. So let me just plug in the USB into the PS4 controller, and then plug in the PS4 controller into my computer. Okay, there you go. And if everything worked accordingly, it should pop up on the screen here as being connected. There we go. And as you can see, it says fully charged and everything else. And one of the beauties of it is you have this bit here, edit profiles, and you can actually remap all your controls, everything, to different buttons and keys. And in my case, I've already remapped these. So for example, I remapped the X key to be 1. So if you wanted to do something like that, you press the key itself and then you select what key on the keyboard you want to represent that. Okay? Next, yeah, so if you look at something like the joystick. Yes, so for something like the joysticks, as you can see, you just click on the box here, and it gives you 5 options. What you want the up, left, right, and down keys to be. I chose the ASDW thing, and when you press it down to click, I said it should send in a Z key. You can do the same thing for the right stick. In my case, what I set it to was IJKL, and maybe center button, when you press down on it, be an M. So looking at this, you can set up yours to be exactly the same if you want, or whatever you decide down the line. But whatever it is, I would suggest is a keyboard key, because you can then easily map that in Bluestacks. So as you can see, to prove that this works, I'll just go back to Notepad, and if I scroll down, let's just do a new line. So basically I'm going to move, let's say, my left joystick keys, which was the ASDF. So when I move it, you notice I'm writing stuff in Notepad. That basically shows that the mapping is working. Similarly, I'll do it for the right stick. You see it's doing all the stuff that I put in the keys there. If I press the X key, I get a 1. I press the circle key, I get a 2. I press the box key, I get a 3. I press the triangle key, I get a 4. Because that's what I mapped it to using this application. So that is one of the great things about the application. The user interface is just absolutely marvelous. So you leave that running, and the next bit has to do with setting up Bluestacks. So what I would recommend is you leave this running, minimize it, open up Bluestacks. So a few seconds. Open up Bluestacks, and basically, so you say restart or whatever it is, and Bluestacks will open up. Okay, so let's wait for, there we go. Okay, Bluestacks is restarted. Now the next 2 things left for us to do is 1, install the PS4 RemotePlay app, and also the Game Keyboard Plus application. Okay, so first of all, we do the PS4 RemotePlay. Now the link for that, I got it from the XDA Developers Forum. You can just copy the link from there and open up the browser and paste that there. Okay, as you can see from this side, there'll be a section to download, and you have 2 versions of the APKs there, a normal one and one of invisible buttons, but I went for the normal version. So I've already downloaded that, and that is it here. And to install it, you just right click on it and install into Bluestacks. How amazing is that? And you click that, and it's installing. If we just go into Bluestacks to check all apps, and we'll be able to see, there we go, the Remote Play application is there. the next thing we need to do is install the Game Keyboard Plus application like I mentioned, and to do that we need to open up the Play Store. So you have the Play Store there. Alright, and to use the Play Store you need to actually have a Google account. So I'm sure we all do, so I'm going to log in with mine, and you can do the same for yours. Okay. Next. Oh, and I think I've just noticed a bit of noise from my fan, so hopefully it doesn't affect the audio recording, but yeah, I think it's low enough that it should still be clear when I play this back, so fingers crossed. So we're going to search for, there we go, Game Keyboard Plus, and there it is, and we're going to install it. I believe it costs about £1, £1.50, I can't remember, but I think it's money well spent, so install it. Accept, and once it's done you just say open. Okay, there we go. The device is already rooted, so you can hit not now for this one, and the first thing you need to do is step 1 is click here to add it to your list of keyboard input methods, and you say OK. You hit the back button, and then the next step 2 is to make it your default input button or default input method. And what I would say about this is, if you're going to play games, you can choose the option we just did. However, when you want to use it for browsing the internet or typing words and the rest of it, I suggest you come back here and set it back to the default Android keyboard. Okay. Now, step 3 here, you can use it to see what the keyboard looks like. So once you click on it, instead of bringing up the Android keyboard, it brings up your new input method, which is this virtual keyboard. This is what we're going to be working with. It's a great piece of technology. Now, once you've done this, what I would suggest while you're here is, okay, actually you can't tap on the screen yet, so press the escape key. We're going to go into settings. There are a few things we need to change here. Leave everything as default, but the few things I would say you should change is scroll to the bottom, and internal options. This 8-way D-pad you can leave it, you don't have to worry about it, but if you scroll down to the bottom again, you will see use left stick keys. I suggest you check that, and use right stick keys. I suggest you check that. Okay. And as you can see, it's using the keyboard WASD and IJKL for those, your right joystick and your left joystick, which is perfect for what we are trying to do. Now you go back again, and you see there's an option here called touchscreen mode. The reason why I couldn't touch the virtual D-pad just now to see the option was because this was disabled. So now you click that and it will be enabled, but it will ask you for root access, and say yes, and now you've got root access to be able to do that. And the last thing I want to show you here is called, what's it called again? Hotspot. So basically this is a way of you showing the virtual gamepad anytime you want to. So especially when you're playing a game, you're trying to map where the buttons should be. So in this case, oh sorry, not the wrong one. Hotspot is currently set for the top right hand corner. I'll say top left hand corner, because the top right hand corner tend to have other buttons there most of the time. Okay. And just to test it, if I move my mouse, sorry, not my mouse, if I actually tap the top left hand corner, you can see it brings up the keyboard. Isn't that just great? Okay. Okay, hit the back key. There we go. And what I want to suggest here is, yes, okay. So now we've actually set up the bare minimum required for us to run the PSP PlayStation Remote Play. But actually, before we do that, let's do a custom test. Okay, custom test. There we go. It brings up the keyboard. Now take your controller and then move your left joystick. As you can see, nothing is being moved on the screen. Everything seems to not be working, and this is usually the case with the integration between Windows and BlueStack or the application. And the way I found to fix this is to close BlueStacks. Also go down to the taskbar and quit it. Okay, and then you just start it again. Okay, so in BlueStacks, you open up the game keyboard. Make sure it's set as the default. Yes, it is. Okay, so I clicked in step 3 and I'm moving the left stick, and you can see it moving. That shows that it's now connected and is working. Sometimes, like I said, you have to restart it a couple of times before it picks things up. I'm not going to move the left stick because that's going to take us out of the text box. It's going to go up and down. But what we need to do now is actually, let's come out of here, press the escape key, and press the back key. Okay, now you know I said we're using the top left hand corner, so press the top left hand corner to bring the keyboard back up. Okay, now we're going to try and map the keys. So for example, the first thing we need to do here is, so let's switch from this touch the D-pad. We don't want to use a sort of 8-way D-pad. We want to be able to control the up, down, left, right ourselves. So take separate off. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, and as you can see, we now have a plus. We can now move. We can now move the buttons individually on the screen. Okay, what I say is a great feature to have. Okay, so first, what we're going to do is we're going to try and mimic the setup for the PS4 RemotePlay application. So let's first do the layout the way we want it. So just bear with me as I do this. I'm going to reduce the size of most of the buttons on the screen here. So let's start with the left hand corner. You click on it and you say resize, and I tend to put it to the bare minimum, and I do the same thing for the right button, so just bear with me as I do that. Okay, so let's assume this will be there and there. You can do the same thing for the stick. Resize it so it's not too big. Put it around there. That's our select button, our start button. We just take it and do the same thing for the right stick. Resize it around there. And let's take away this Z, and that's the C key. We need these for our triangle, circle buttons for the PlayStation. So let's do the R2 button, resize it, and put that around there. I'm just sort of guessing at the moment. We're going to do it properly on the screen when we get to the PlayStation application, but to make things a bit easier, we'll do it beforehand. So we want the A button to be X, so we're going to put it here. And we want the B button to be circle. I'm going to put that there. And then X is going to be square, and Y is going to be triangle. Okay, I think they're a bit too big, so let's resize them. Just in the middle there. Same thing for that one in the middle. And Y in the middle. Okay, so yeah, just something like that. We'll do it properly to the exact positions once we run the application. And we put that there and that there. And let's try doing our D-pad around here. Yeah. And let's just reduce the sizes of those as well, if it will let us. Well, it's not going to let us, so we'll just put them as far apart, not as far apart, but something like that for now. Okay, and put our left stick around here. And, okay, these are the 4 buttons. We'll decide what we're going to do with them. The Z key, oh okay, so basically we've got our general layout, but let's make sure the buttons are mapped the way we want them to. So press on the A key, and then you have input, select that, and then press X on the controller. Okay, press the B key, input, and then press circle on the controller, you get the drift. X key, input, and then press square on the controller. Y key, input, press triangle on the controller. Right button, input, press the right button on the controller. R2, input, press the right trigger on the controller. Left button, input, left button on the controller. L2, input, L2 on the controller. You don't have to worry about the right stick, the left stick, and the D-pad. Now the start button, input, use the option on the controller. The stop button, input, use the share button on the controller. The Z key, I'm using that as the click for the left joystick, and the C key, I'm using that for the click of the right joystick. So we've technically mapped all the core buttons we need for things to work in the application. So let's press the top left hand corner to take away the gamepad. Okay, now we need to run the PS4 application, the remote app, the remote play. So we just run that. Actually, I just want to put on my desktop, and on my home screen I'll do the same thing here. Sorry, this is a bad habit. And now we have the PS4 Remote Play running. So you just skip this step because the controller is already connected, and then you hit next. Oh yeah, so it takes you to a screen to sign in on your with your PlayStation account. I've already done that, so it's automatically saved it for future signings. You could install the PlayStation application, but I didn't want to risk that in case it causes problem with the Remote Play APK that I'm using. Excellent. Okay, we finally made it into the PlayStation. Okay, so one of the downside here is that the controls on the screen, or depending is by design, which is great, but the controls on the screen would disappear after a short while. So if I tap the screen, you can see where they are, but then they're going to disappear, and then you're going to have to tap the screen again. So remember the shortcut I showed you about using the top left hand side of the screen to show the keyboard, the gamepad. So you're going to have to show the PlayStation keyboard, show your gamepad, and then try and mimic the positions. I'm doing the D-pad now first. Okay, it's a bit tedious, but I think that's the best way to do it. You know what, let me just reduce the size of the D-pad. Yeah, I think that's a bit better. Okay, I'm just trying to do the D-pad first. That's one of the most annoying ones to do. Okay, so let's just press the top left again, and tap the screen, and then try it again. As you can see, I'm way off. Okay. Probably because I need to make it a little bit smaller. And to make it smaller, you have to put separate off, and then click on this D-pad again, and then resize to something smaller like that. Okay, and then we put separate back on. Okay, so now this should be small enough to do exactly what we want. Okay, we just need to test it out. So let's top left of the screen, click the screen, and then look at the positioning of that. As you can see, it's a little bit off for most of them, but it should still be able to click the button the way we need it to. Okay, so let's just, yeah, I think that should be okay, but let me just make sure. Yep, that covers your D-pad, no worries. You can make it perfect if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. The next bit is the X, Y, A, B, square, triangle mapping. So let's do those next. Click the screen, and then the B and A seems to be just about right. I think I just put that there. Yeah, so let's do the other two. The triangle and square are not right. Okay, I think that should do it. Let's check it. Click the top left of the screen, and then let's see. Take a look at that now. Yep, that's perfect. And let's look at the L2s and R2s, etc. Yeah, almost perfect. I just have to bring the left and right button out a little, in or out, in a little bit. There we go. And that one as well. Can you imagine doing this from scratch? So it was a good thing we did the positioning in a separate screen before getting here. So let's see now. L2, R2, R2, R1 all done. And then we have the joysticks here. Yeah, I think that's the rough area for the joystick. That should be acceptable. What you will notice as well is, let's take this a little. You can see the mouse pad is up here. Now, we can't really move on the mouse pad, but we can definitely click on it. And what I would suggest is, show your gamepad. I tend to use the left stick click button for that. Okay, so I'll just put that there. Sorry, just bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I'll just put that there, and that's where it's gonna sit. Now these are the three buttons. At the moment I can't really see what to use them for, but I'm sure you guys will figure out what you want to use those for. What we need to do now is to test our configuration out. So if I press the R2 button on my controller, okay, you would expect it to press something on the screen, but what I can tell you here is because we've done all these mappings, the controller probably won't be working. Yeah, so I'm pressing it now, but nothing is happening. What that means is we have to go back into Game Explorer and confirm, sorry, Game Keyboard, and confirm that the mappings are on. So step 2, we disable it, and then we re-enable it, and then we click on step 3 to see if it's still there. We can now move. Yep, okay. So now we then go to PS4 RemotePlay, and this time it should now work. It's a bit of a pain, but it works in the end. Okay, so the key thing is enabling and re-enabling the step 2 to get everything working again. And you can always test it in step 3 to make sure you're getting feedback. If there is no feedback, it means you have to quit Bluestacks, not just by clicking the close button, but also quitting it from the task bar. Okay, and then you start it up and everything should work fine from then on. Alright, it's found the PS4 and now it's about to show me the screen. And hopefully the buttons will work as we've mapped them. And if they have, then I'll show you how to save your settings. Technically speaking, it will keep that single setting, but I suggest you save it with a different name to enable you have different settings for different games. So I have a different one for Dead Trigger that I'm going to have to set up again, but I think I've exported it, so I can always import it again. So now that we're here, let's press the R1 and R2. So I'm pressing R1 and R2, but as you can see, it's not blinking on the screen. So L1, I'm pressing L1, L1 is working perfectly, L2 is working, circle is working, as you can see from the screen, it's blinking, triangle is working as I press it, square is working. I don't want to touch X here because I don't want to open up the Binding of Isaac. Let's try the D-pad. As you can see, the right button, which is what I'm pressing, is working, but it's also touching the up, which is not a good thing, so we need to fix that. The left button is also touching up, even though it's working. The down button is working, as you can see from the beeping, and the up button, so we just have to move the left and right key a bit further out to not be touching the up key. And then it looks like for R1 and R2 we need to reconfigure those as well. So we just press the top left screen, and as you can see, we bring the that one there and take that one apart a little bit. And then for R1, R2, we need to see what the positions need to be. So that's R2 position, and R1 come down a little bit. So it's come down a little bit, yep. And let's test it out. R1 is now working, and R2, as you can see, is now working. Now let's check the left and right. So the right key is now working as we expected, and the left key is now working. So if we go to settings on the PS4, not power, but settings, and press the X key, you will notice the X key is now working, and it opens it up. So that basically shows that all your keys are working. Now let's check the right joystick. As you can see, I'm moving the right joystick, but it doesn't seem to be moving on the screen, and I'm moving the left joystick, which does seem to work. I wonder if it's because of the screen that I'm on. So let's go back to the screen and move the right joystick. Yes, it's working. So the right joystick is working. Okay, excellent. The left joystick is working as well. So that basically proves that everything works the way you need it to. Even clicking the left joystick button, as you can see, the mouse section at the top there is being clicked. So congratulations, you've got all your buttons working via your computer through Bluestacks and hitting your PS4. But as you can see, there is a slight delay, but this is all has to do with connectivity and not the process we've just gone through. So now let's go and save our profile. We go to Game Keyboard, and as I mentioned, because you're going to have to type out certain things, I would suggest you disable this and go back to your old keyboard input. Go to Settings, and then you say Save Profile, and I'm going to name this profile PS4 RemotePlay. PS4 RemotePlay, and then say OK. Now you can always load profiles. So when you do a new design for a controller, for example, you do a new layout for dead trigger, you can then save it as a different profile and you just load it up by clicking load profile and clicking dead trigger or whatever name you gave it. This is basically it, and I do look forward to any feedback on the video, and any way I can help you or you can help me, just let me know. Thank you very much.